The night is not empty. For humans, it's a moment of silence. For the world, a time when other senses awaken. When the sun slips behind the horizon and shadows flood trees and rocks, something in the air begins to tremble. You can sometimes hear it. A quick flutter, a brief, almost soundless whisper. Like the breath of the night. It's a bat. For thousands of years, it stirred fear in us. A creature of darkness that needs no eyes to see, no light to live. To ancient people, it was a symbol of death, of the devil. A rat with wings, a demon of the night. In medieval paintings, it followed dragons and witches. But that legend is only a shadow of the truth. The bat is no monster. It is one of the most extraordinary animals on Earth. A being that broke the boundaries between species. It's a mammal, yet it flies. Not like a squirrel gliding between trees. It truly flies. Its wings aren't made of feathers, but of skin, thin as paper, stretched between the fingers of its hand. Look closely, and you can see the anatomy of a human. Thumb, wrist, elbow. A bat is, in essence, a flying hand. Evolution invented nothing new for it. It simply stretched what was already there. But wings aren't what make it remarkable. The bat sees with sound. It emits ultrasonic waves, brief pulses that bounce back after striking objects. In a fraction of a second, its brain builds a three-dimensional map of the world. For us, it's silence. For the bat, a landscape full of form and motion. It can spot a moth in flight, count heartbeats in the dark. It's sonar made of flesh and bone. Biological technology millions of years old. And perhaps that's why it still unsettles us. Because it lives beyond our senses. We can't see its world, can't hear its voice, can't grasp its nocturnal rhythm. Its life happens beside ours, invisible, yet everywhere. And yet without it, the world would be unbearable. A single colony can eat several tons of insects in one night. Without bats, mosquitoes, moths, and pests would destroy crops, spread disease, disrupt the balance of entire ecosystems. Some bats pollinate bananas, mangoes, and agaves, the plants from which tequila is born. Others scatter seeds, renewing forests after fires. They are the gardeners of the night, silent allies we almost never see. When they sleep, they hang upside down. For us, it's unnatural. For them, perfect. Their bodies are built for inversion. When their muscles relax, their claws tighten. They can sleep for hours without expending energy. They can slow their hearts to just a few beats per minute, fall into hibernation for months, and wait for spring without food or motion. The bat is a creature of the in-between, between day and night, between silence and sound, between animal and myth. It's a being that learned to live where we cannot, in the invisible space. Imagine a world 50 million years ago. The sky belonged to birds, the earth to mammals that had only just survived the apocalypse of the dinosaurs. Small, hidden, nocturnal. They scurried among leaves, hid in shadows, trembled at every sound. But somewhere in that world, between night and dawn, one of those small creatures did something none before had dared. It looked up. No one knows exactly how it began. Perhaps it climbed trees and leapt to escape a predator. Perhaps it hunted insects in the air. Evolution doesn't plan, it experiments. And sometimes from those experiments, miracles are born. With each generation, its fingers grew a little longer. The skin between them stretched thinner, wider, until one day it no longer fell. It glided, then farther, then faster. And suddenly the air stopped being an obstacle. It became home. The bat is a mammal that truly learned to fly. Not like a glider that floats for seconds, but by beating its wings. Its hands turned into machines of flight. Flexible, precise, more refined than those of birds. Each wing is a long hand with a thin membrane between the fingers, where you can see veins, tendons, bones. In flight, its motion is something between a dance and the rippling of water. These are hands transformed into wings. But evolution never gives without taking. For the gift of flight, the bat paid with its sight. Its eyes grew smaller, unfit for light. Darkness became its ally. And then, nature did something brilliant. Since it took away light, it gave it sound. Thus, echolocation was born. One of the most astonishing systems of orientation in nature. The bat began to see with hearing, It sends out ultrasonic calls that bounce back in fractions of a second, forming in its mind a three-dimensional image of space. For us, it's silence. For it, light. In a single second, it emits hundreds of pulses, creating around itself a sphere of perception more precise than radar. It can see an insect in darkness, count its wings, predict its path. It's like having eyes in every particle of air. And so appeared a creature that should not have existed. A mammal that flies, a blind animal that sees with sound, a nocturnal being that never loses its way. The bat broke the rules. Instead of fighting for the day, it mastered the night. Today, its body is a manual of evolutionary engineering. Its heart can beat 1,000 times a minute in flight, and slow almost to stillness when it sleeps. Its wings cool like radiators, and its lungs sustain constant airflow without exhaustion. And its echolocation, though it feels like magic, is pure physics. Waves, echoes, frequencies beyond our hearing that for the bat form a world sharper than our sight. What to us is obvious by day, shape, color, image, for it exists at night in sound, and maybe that's why it still fascinates us. Because the bat is proof that life knows no boundaries, that even what seems like an evolutionary dead end can become a new direction. In darkness, where vision fails, the bat found freedom. It gave up light to become its echo. When a human loses sight, the world disappears. The bat did the opposite. It gave up light to gain something more. Instead of seeing with eyes, it began to see with ears. What for us is silence, for it is a landscape. Every sound it makes returns carrying information about the world, distance, texture, motion, even the temperature of the air. In flight, a bat emits ultrasonic pulses, short, high-pitched signals so rapid that no human ear can hear them. Some species can send up to 200 calls per second. Each one returns after bouncing off the world's surfaces like an echo in a cave, only 1,000,000 times sharper. Its brain works like a supercomputer. In the time it takes us to blink, it analyzes dozens of returning waves and builds a full, three-dimensional map of its surroundings. For the bat, the night is full of shapes. Sound bounces off a leaf differently than off a stone, differently than off an insect's wing, differently than off water. It can tell not just what something is, but how it moves. In a fraction of a second, it knows whether a moth is fluttering or pretending to be still. For it, there is no darkness, only echoes. This sense is so precise that it lets a bat fly through a dense forest in absolute darkness, weaving between branches spaced only millimeters apart, at speeds of dozens of kilometers per hour. If you tried to do that, you'd crash into the first tree. A bat sees the world the way radar sees airplanes, only its image is alive with movement and emotion. But echolocation isn't just a tool for orientation. It's also a language. Bats can recognize each other by sound. Every colony has its own dialect. A mother's voice and her pups are as unique as fingerprints. They can communicate, warn, even express emotion. Some species have a repertoire so rich it resembles the structure of birdsong. Their sonar is both instrument and music. An invisible symphony we'll never hear. And strangest of all, a bat doesn't go deaf from its own cry. When it sends out an ultrasonic wave, its ears shut down for a fraction of a second, then open again to catch the echo. It's like breathing in sound. A perfect rhythm between sending and listening, between question and answer. Scientists call it one of the most sophisticated feedback systems in nature. Some species can even tune their calls to the environment. When hunting in thick forest, they use shorter, faster pulses to perceive detail. In open spaces, they switch to longer, lower tones that reach farther. It's like changing a camera lens. Only the bat does it instinctively, constantly, without thought. To humans, it seems like magic. To physics, it's pure mathematics. Sound travels through air at more than 300 meters per second. A bat can detect the difference between the emitted and returning signal down to 1,000th of a second. From that delay, it calculates distance with millimeter precision. It doesn't require thought, only the perfection of biology. But there's something more, something that makes this sense almost metaphysical. Echolocation is the ability to see what isn't there. The bat doesn't see light, only its absence. It doesn't see things. It sees how they reflect. It's a different kind of perception, as if it could hear the presence of existence itself. It looks into darkness and sees its structure. If you could, for a moment, see through its sense, you'd witness a world made of waves, pulses, and echoes, as if reality were built from music. For the bat, every night is a concert, and every flight an improvisation on the theme of space. The bat lives in reverse. When we wake, it sleeps. When our day ends, its life begins. It is a creature that has flipped the rules of existence. The sky has become its ground, and the night its day. It sleeps upside down, as if it had inverted gravity. It's not a whim, it's genius design. Its body is built so that when its muscles relax, the tendons in its claws tighten automatically. That means it needs no strength to hold on. It can hang for hours effortlessly, even die that way. For a human, it would be torture. For a bat, peace, a body suspended in stillness, heart slowed, breath barely there. Sometimes it's hard to believe it's sleep, not death. In caves, attics, and ruins, cool, dry, and dark, bats gather in colonies. Some number only a dozen, others millions. Hanging close together, they form a living, breathing curtain. When all their wings stir at once, the air in the cave ripples like water. In their world, loneliness doesn't exist. Bats are social, loyal, even nurturing creatures. A mother can recognize her pup among thousands by smell and voice. She finds it in darkness, guided only by memory and echo. And when a young one is too weak, other females will warm it with their own bodies. In many colonies, scientists have observed what they call communal care, a behavior rare even among mammals. Bats share warmth, food, and shelter. Their night isn't only about hunting, it's about community. But that life has a cost. When the cold comes, insects vanish. A bat can't simply migrate. Flight takes too much energy. So it enters hibernation, one of the most extreme survival strategies in nature. Its body temperature drops almost to match the air around it. A heart that beats 1,000 times a minute in flight slows to just a few beats. Breathing nearly stops. The whole organism shifts into waiting. From the outside, it looks dead, but inside it endures, suspended, as if time itself had paused. In this state, it can last for weeks, months, until the first warm nights return. When the temperature rises, it wakes, stretches its wings, and flies again as if nothing happened. It's a miniature resurrection, repeated every year. Some species can slip into such sleep even within a single day, when food disappears or the cold comes too suddenly. Their bodies know only one rule: survive the night that lasts too long. By day they sleep. By night they hunt. A single colony can consume hundreds of thousands of insects in just a few hours. Their flight is silent, precise, hypnotic. The wings don't flap, they ripple. The sound of their echolocation is beyond human hearing. But if you could hear it, it would sound like the hush of a storm a mile away. Their life is a cycle. Sleep, flight, hunger, sleep. They know no day, no light. And though to us their world seems dark, it's full of sound, scent, and signals beyond our understanding. It's a world inverted but ordered, where gravity means nothing and silence is full of voices. A world that runs parallel to ours, nocturnal, calm, complete. And maybe that's why bats fascinate us so much, because they live as we never could, in perfect acceptance of the dark. If the world is a vast web of connections, the bat is one of its invisible knots. Without it, many things we take for granted would simply unravel. It's a creature that doesn't need admiration to be essential. It makes no noise, leaves no marks, asks for no recognition. It simply rises from the dark each night and does what it must. Every night, bats devour billions of insects. Literally billions. A single colony can clear the sky of mosquitoes, moths, beetles, and flies that would otherwise destroy crops, spread disease, and make life unbearable. Farmers in Texas have estimated that bats save them hundreds of millions of dollars each year by reducing the need for pesticides. In the tropics, some trees thrive without chemical protection thanks to them. The bat is nature's pest control, ecological, free, tireless. But it isn't just insects that owe bats their place in the web of life. In the warmer regions of the world, bats are also pollinators. Yes, just like bees. As they fly from flower to flower in search of nectar, tiny grains of pollen stick to their faces and fur. Thanks to them, agaves bloom, bananas ripen, mango trees bear fruit, and even cacao thrives, which means that without bats, there would be no chocolate and no tequila. It's hard to think of a more convincing reason to love them. Some species, especially those from tropical rainforests, play another remarkable role. They are the gardeners of the forest. They feed on fruit, then scatter seeds in their droppings as they travel. A bat can fly several miles, and the seeds it releases sprout in new places. Thanks to them, rainforests regenerate after fires and deforestation. Without bats, many ecosystems would simply have no way to return to life. A bat is also a measure of environmental health. Where they disappear, something has already gone wrong. They are the first to vanish when chemicals, noise, or artificial light disrupt the rhythm of night. Street lights, city hum, pesticides, the loss of caves. All of it quietly steals their space. And when they go, the silence that follows isn't peace. It's warning. With them, birds, plants, and insects fade too. In 2006, a disease called white nose syndrome appeared in America, a fungus that attacks hibernating bats. Within a few years, it had killed millions. In places where the sky once pulsed with wings, there was only stillness. And in that stillness came a storm of insects, unchecked by their vanished predators. It turned out that even something as simple as the bat's sleep can hold together the health of an entire ecosystem. Bats are like the hidden heartbeat of nature, pulsing through the night while we sleep, quietly keeping the balance of the waking world. Without them, there would be fewer fruits, more disease, more pesticides, and fewer forests. We often associate them with darkness, with superstition, with Gothic imagery. Yet they are, in truth, the light of nature in its purest form. Instead of fearing their wings, we should be grateful they still exist. Because every quiet night above us, thousands of them are keeping the world in balance. Bats have always lived on the border between fascination and fear. No other animal has been so misunderstood, and yet so deeply rooted in the human imagination. It's hard to find a creature more paradoxical. A mammal that flies like a bird, lives like a ghost, sleeps like the dead, and wakes when others dream. For millennia, humans have looked at them with both awe and dread. In ancient China, the bat symbolized happiness, longevity, and good fortune. In Chinese, the word fu means both bat and blessing. That's why its image appeared on fabrics, porcelain, and amulets, to attract good spirits. 5 bats together represented the 5 blessings: health, wealth, long life, love, and peaceful death. To the Chinese, the bat was a bearer of good, a guardian of fortune, not of fear. But in the West, the story unfolded differently. In medieval Europe, night belonged to demons, witches, and everything unknown. A creature that emerged from caves, slept as if dead, and had wings like stretched skin was bound to stir fear. The bat became an emblem of evil, a companion of witches, a bringer of plague, a shadow of misfortune. The real turning point came in the 19th century, when Bram Stoker wrote Dracula. Then, the bat and the vampire fused into one. From that moment on, this creature of the night stopped being merely curious. It became monstrous, a symbol of blood. Though Stoker was inspired by real vampire bats from South America, which do in fact drink the blood of animals, his fiction cast its shadow over all bats. From then on, they became Dracula's wings. In nature, of course, the truth is the opposite. Vampire bats make up only 3 species out of more than 1,400. The rest are harmless, graceful, and vital. Lovers of insects, fruit, or nectar. But people see what they want to see. From darkness, myths are born. And yet, the bat has re-emerged as a modern icon, not of fear, but of duality. Batman and the Man-Bat is a symbol of courage, fighting evil that hides in the dark. It's a reversal of the old myth. Darkness not as danger, but as power that can be mastered. The bat stopped being the monster and became the hero, a creature of night turned emblem of bravery. Across cultures, bats are also tied to the idea of rebirth. A bat sleeping upside down resembles an unborn child in the womb. For many indigenous peoples of the Americas, it symbolizes new beginnings, the death of the old, the birth of the new. In Mayan and Aztec mythology, the bat was the guardian of the underworld, the guide of souls. For them, night was not evil, it was a passage, and the bat was the one who led through the dark. Because in truth, the bat is neither monster nor symbol. It is simply life that chose another way to exist. It shows that survival doesn't always mean domination, that it's possible to live fully while staying unseen. Bats are masters of endurance. For millions of years, they have lived almost everywhere, from tropical jungles to dry deserts, from caves to rooftops. But their greatest strength lies in their biology. They possess one of the most efficient immune systems in the animal kingdom. And that's what makes them both extraordinary and, in a way, dangerous. Bats can carry viruses that are deadly to other species, yet remain perfectly healthy themselves. Their bodies are laboratories of evolution. Viruses can survive, mutate, and adapt within them, while the host continues to live, calm, active, unharmed. It's a biological paradox. The bat's immune system is hypersensitive, always alert, always producing molecules that fight infection. But it avoids the overreaction that would destroy its own body. This perfect balance makes bats ideal hosts, not victims, not villains, but vessels. In nature, that balance isn't a problem. Bats live apart from us, in caves and forests, in the quiet of the night. The danger begins when humans step into their world. When we cut down forests, invade caves, destroy habitats. Then their pathogens find new pathways, first to other animals, then to us. That's how many of our modern epidemics begin. Ebola, Nipah, Marburg, SARS, even SARS-CoV-2. They all trace back to bats. Not because bats are evil, but because their biology is a crucible for viruses. High body temperatures in flight, fast metabolism, resilience to stress, all create a perfect training ground for microorganisms to survive extremes. When such a virus crosses into a human body, which lacks those defenses, the result is catastrophe. Bats don't infect us directly. Contact is rare, but the viruses they carry often pass through intermediaries. Animals we raise, hunt, or eat. That's how SARS jumped from bats to civets, then to humans. That's how Nipah moved, from bats to pigs to farmers. It's not a story about dangerous bats, but about our dangerous closeness to nature. Once, bat caves were distant and sacred. Today we enter them with cameras, chainsaws, plantations. We live closer to them than ever. And with that closeness comes contact with their invisible world. Every boundary we cross becomes an open door for new diseases. The paradox is clear. Bats are both essential and perilous. Without them, ecosystems would collapse. But too much proximity can lead to disaster. Nature's lesson is always the same. Not everything extraordinary is safe. Sometimes, what protects us can also harm us. If we forget respect, bats are not monsters. They are masterpieces of evolution. But their perfection depends on distance. When humans come too close, the balance breaks. And what worked in harmony for millions of years can suddenly turn to chaos. So perhaps bats don't bring us disease. Perhaps we take it from them. Because in nature, everything has its place. And even a creature that sleeps upside down reminds us of something simple and profound. That heaven and earth, light and dark, human and animal, are only two sides of the same story. Night in the city is no longer night. There is no silence, no darkness. Instead of stars, streetlights, screens, neon, headlights. For us, it's the background of life. For bats, a labyrinth they can't decode. They evolved in darkness for millions of years, a world of echoes, soft reflections, and distance. But in cities, sound bounces off glass, concrete, and steel. Waves scatter, twist, and create false images. It's like trying to fly through a hall of mirrors. Their echolocation, so perfect in forests and caves, falters here. They no longer know where space ends and danger begins. That's why they strike windows, lose orientation, fall beneath cars, and then there's the light. For us, it's comfort. For them, it's poison. Bats avoid brightness. Their eyes are tuned to twilight. Streetlights distort their rhythms and confuse their navigation. Insects swarm around light, drawing bats in. But it's a trap. There they become easy prey or simply disoriented. What looks like easier hunting often ends in chaos. Cities are loud, not just visually, but acoustically. Engines, music, vibrations, constant noise. All of it interferes with the way bats see through sound. Some species try to adapt. They shift the frequency of their echolocation to cut through the urban noise. Or they learn to hunt later at night, when the streets finally grow quiet. But for many, it's a struggle for survival. Bats that once lived by the rhythm of nature must now adjust to the rhythm of humankind. And it is humans who set the tempo. And yet, somehow they endure. Some have found new homes in cities. Instead of caves, attics, bridges, cracks in concrete walls, concrete has become their new stone, rooftops their new sky. Sometimes they live right beside us, in spaces we never notice. People often have no idea that above their ceiling, in a hidden corner, a small colony sleeps, silent, upside down, waiting for the night to rise. But city life has its dangers. Bats die from the poisons and pesticides we spray to kill mosquitoes, from wind turbines and windows lit by LEDs, from the cutting of trees that once marked their aerial paths. Even something as ordinary as highway lighting can become deadly, a barrier they cannot cross. Some cities are trying to change that. In the Netherlands, the UK, and Germany, so-called dark corridors have been created. Migration routes where streetlights are dimmed or replaced with special red lights that don't disturb them. In Poland, small wooden bat boxes are appearing in parks and on buildings, a simple act for us, but for them, the difference between life and death. Because bats don't ask for much, just a bit of quiet, a bit of darkness, and a place where they can hang upside down. In return, they guard our world, eating mosquitoes, pollinating plants, keeping balance alive. In the chaos of the city, it's easy to forget them, but they are still here, in the cracks, in the night, in the shadows. And maybe that's the most beautiful paradox of all, that even in the most artificial world, among concrete and light, there is still a breath of nature. Small, silent, hanging upside down,